Well, hello everybody. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes,
I hear you.
Yep.
Hey,
Excellent,
Donald.
excellent. Welcome everyone. Just take another minute here and we'll get started. Oh, wow. Great to see everybody here. So many folks. Good to actually meet you kind of in person. Um, I am going to record this meeting just to give people a heads up. Uh, and I'll go through just a quick intro. And I'd also like to get some very quick introductions. We got a lot of people on the call, but just if people can kind of identify themselves, we'll get to that. And then we can get into, yeah, we'd love to hear some of your thoughts here. This is just a first step for us. And we appreciate, I've seen already some really nice presentations, much better than mine. And yeah, we appreciate the effort that you've put into this already. So with that, let me get started on recording. One moment. Okay, hi, everybody. Sec, let me jump on camera here. See, hey, there I am. Hey, everybody, I'm Donald. I have spoken, I think, to all of you at some point or another. I am the director of the Marketplace Partner Program here for Bedrock. As such, I'm also in charge of taking care of our Marketplace Partner servers and indirectly responsible uh, for helping out with the broader sort of free range Bedrock modding community. And uh, because of that role, and just sort of like the general, like, I don't know, the organization of Mojang is an interesting thing. I'm also the public face for this decision that was made by Mojang to remove our debug symbols from the Bedrock server, which is obviously why we're all here. And I'll start by saying I'm sorry. I know this has been a really tough choice for folks to deal with, and that's why we're here, is to talk about this and work through. Our goal is to create a really, what I'm hoping is to we have a fabulous group of folks here, very talented, very technical folks, and I would love to see us transform you from sort of just a bunch of modders who are kind of being put under the thumb of Mojang into the architects of a beautiful future for the modding community, one that we really think is possible. But to do that, we really need your help and your input. And that's why we're here, is to start this conversation. This will be the first of hopefully a number of meetings going to the future. We wanted to kick it off just by getting to know you a little bit better, giving you a chance to speak about kind of the challenges you face and help us to think about some of the paths going forward. Just as a reminder, there are some folks here who are under NDA with us, some of our server partners and whatnot, but we didn't require NDAs to have this conversation. This is a public and transparent conversation to the degree it can be. We did want to bring together a group of folks who we felt were very versed in this, who could help us to kind of make this get our initial thoughts together on where we go with this. But you are, welcome to talk about things we talk about here. We just encourage you to hopefully don't stir the fires on Twitter too much until we can work with you to come up with like a really strong, positive public proposal that we can share with the community at large. Okay, so I am going to, I guess, Oh boy, we have so many people. We can try to do really quick introductions. Like I said, I'm Donald. I've been here since for about 15 years at Microsoft. I started in Microsoft research. Actually, around the time that Minecraft got acquired, I was in research. I was very excited when this happened. I've been playing Minecraft since alpha. I don't play as much anymore, but I do watch a lot of it on YouTube. It is a fabulous game, an amazing place for creators to create all kinds of stuff. And I spent a large part of my career trying to get to where I am now, where I could actually make a positive impact on the community at large. So hopefully, we'll see in the next few months if I'm successful doing that. I just am going to go through the list here very quickly. If folks can come off mute and just give a quick introduction of who you are. Start with Aaron at Orville.
Hey, I'm Aaron. I'm one of the guys at Orville. Um, I generally do some C++ stuff. Uh, Similar to a lot of you other guys, I've been doing a essentially like a modding API for the Bedrock server. That's kind of the bulk of my work. Um, it's kind of been like an onboarding thing for me. I'm continuously learning. I'm actually fairly new to the Bedrock dedicated server ecosystem. Otherwise, I've been kind of more on the Java side of things for my past. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I got.
All right, Alamez. And if you don't want to come off mute, I can pass you by, but happy to hear you. All right, I'm going to keep going. Andy.
Okay, hello, I'm Andy of Lamina. Well, I'm just a junior at Tsinghua University and currently interning at University of Southern California, and my research focuses on multimodal agent AI and robotics. Well, beyond the research, I actively involved in Lamina and I'm a maintainer of that. I mainly contribute to the ecosystem development and the model management tools, and especially the tool called Leap, and that's a package manager for Lamina and many similar tools. And I also maintain a website called Leap Index for discovering modding resources. And also, I authored a significant portion of the Lamina's documentation, and I developed the legacy script engine, enabling the platform to utilize various programming languages like JavaScript, Python, Lua, and C Sharp. Also, I maintain Lamina's automated workflows for testing, building, publishing, and generalization. And thank you for your time.
Amazing, amazing. So much good stuff. Brian, please.
Yeah, I'm Brian. I worked at Mindplex. I worked at NPVP. I worked on the Universal Studios Live event. I do a lot of stuff in Roblox these days. I mean, I've worked on Minecraft for a long while. That's really it from me.
Excellent. Welcome, Brian. Dries.
Hello, I'm Dries. I've been at NetherGames for like probably 5.5 years now, and I maintain the servers. Um, that's about it for my.
Good stuff. Freddie, I don't know if you fixed your audio problems, but if you want to introduce yourself, you're welcome to.
He put a message in chat, by the way, like on the voice channel, rather than talking.
All right. Well, we'll get there. John.
Yep. I'm John. I just started at Orville Studios. I'm new to this, so I don't really have a lot to say.
All right. Fair enough. And then Jordan,
Alright.
also from Orville. We got some Orville folks. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm Jordan from Orville. So we work on most of the IP and brand deal crossovers. And I'll mainly just be observing. Not a lot from me.
Good to have you here. Kwai Nahida.
Hi, I'm Nahida. I'm the maintainers of the Live Llama project. I started modding Better Server back 5 years ago and contributed to the project. I would like to continue to contribute to the ecosystem of the better modding, and I'm here sorry for my poor English in advance. That's all. Thanks.
No, and my I appreciate everyone, our non-English speakers and whatnot. I'm sorry, my Chinese is not good, but my English is good. So here we are with what we have, and it's good to have you here. And Liam, we have another Orville. We got a lot of Orville people.
Hi, yeah, I'm Liam. I'm a project manager and audio director at Orville. I mainly work on our marketplace content, but yeah, also along with Jordan, mostly here to observe, so you won't hear too much from me.
Brilliant, Lucy.
Wait, hi, I'm Lucy. I'm a contributor to Amethyst and work alongside Freddy to help improve our incredible modding API. I'm here in modding space since about 2 years and have helped multiple custom server softwares in the last years. That
Great.
should be about it.
Great to meet you, Lucy. Marshall.
Hello, I'm Marshall. I'm the technical lead at Orville Studios. I primarily focus on internal tooling and infrastructure. I've been playing Minecraft since it was a browser game.
Brilliant. Good to have you here. Max. I'm guessing another one we won't have audio for. And I can't even start with MDIS PRGM if you want to say something.
Okay. Hello.
Hello.
I'm BDS developer and 19 years old. I'm interested in bedrock programming. I was contributor of BDS and invited to into members in 2022 January. For now, I am the maintainer since first maintainer quit. I'm happy to participate this meeting. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. And wow, 19-year-old creators. Oh my gosh, so exciting. Oyotian.
Hi. A brief introduction. I research graphics, mainly real-time rendering and shading models. For here, I mainly represent the model of the Live Lamina and the shader community.
Great to have you here. I'm so excited about some of the graphics work that's going on in Bedrock right now. And thank you for everything you're doing on this. Peter.
Hello, I'm Peter. Work at Orville Studios as sysadmin/DevOps work. Minecraft since like 1.0. Also help out Hermitcraft running their server and Exumavoid's infrastructure.
Rednet.
Hi guys, I'm Red. I'm an open source developer, probably best known for creating the Geyser project, which allows for Bedrock and Java crossplay. I'm also a server developer at KubeCraft, working on their server platform and protocol stuff. I've been playing Minecraft for over a decade. I started back on Pocket Edition 0.6, back when they had the limited worlds and everything was so much different. So it's very cool to be here.
Awesome. Reed.
Hi, I'm Reed. I'm an associate professor at Arizona State University. I've been a C++ programmer for like 25 years. I run a research lab that involves biology, statistics, and software engineering. I do a lot of Minecraft in my like teaching and outreach. I also like do a lot of research on it, so I'm like research mechanics, like code dig to find out how mechanics are actually kind of done. And beyond that, I also like maintain a library for the R programming language that allows the analysis of Bedrock worlds, the modification analysis of them.
I was very interested by this. I love using R, and I need to check this out. I didn't even know that existed, and I've also watched a couple of your videos, and great to have you here. Grape.
Hi, I'm Ina. I've been working on BDS modding for the past 4 years. I've specifically been working with a tool called BDSX. Most of my focus with programming has been specifically on modding the BDS. It was my main method for learning programming in general, and it helped me go from only knowing a scripting language to being able to write in something native like C++.
And Grape, it's great to have. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't have a ton of like portfolio stuff to show, though I've done a lot of work just researching the inside of the game and figuring out how certain sections work. Like shortly before the PDB was removed, I actually spent a lot of time figuring out Nether portal stuff so I could work on like a event system, have that in BDSX.
Yeah, and it is really great. You've been an amazing contributor, just sharing a lot of information with me around, your thoughts on the architecture and whatnot. So you definitely have a lot to contribute here, and we're glad to have you. Vincent.
Hi everyone, my name is Vincent. I'm lucky to be the last one to introduce myself, and hopefully you will remember me better. Anyway, I'm currently a PhD student at Imperial College London, focusing on computer vision. And I use C++ and Python a lot in my research. I've been part of the community for 11 years, starting as a player and later becoming a server owner, and also the founder of the NewKit project, which many of you may have heard of. Currently, I'm working on the Anston project, which aims to bring the functionality of the Spigot API to the Bedrock edition.
Awesome. All right, there you go. We did it in 15 minutes. That's fabulous. We want to have a lot of time for just folks to chat and to share some more detailed information. I am going to kick off very quickly with just a short. It's a very rough presentation. I just wanted to give a little bit of context here for folks and for anyone who watches this afterwards. I'm not going to go deep into the reasons why we did this, but just more kind of the challenges we face right now. So I will share second. And okay, so yes, we're here to talk about how we can try to move beyond debug symbols. The reasons for this we've talked about a little bit. This is a concern for Mojang. It has been for a long time, not just from like a security standpoint, but also we feel that this is just not a strong way for us to support the community. We feel like that Bedrock really needs more structured APIs, more of a environment that is welcoming to hobbyist creators and can bring people in. We recently did announce that we were removing the PDB, and that, of course, is going to cause some problems. As we talked about, just as a very high level, obviously there's a lot of information that we can't get through any other source than the PDB right now. We don't have a lot of documentation of our inner workings, and there are a lot of bugs in Bedrock that we, for better or for worse, depend on the community to help us to identify that are going to be much harder for them to call out for us. And then there's more technical things, just the ways that we do things like proxies and stuff like that really can't support all the functionality that's needed. And we are doing this without a total solution in place yet. Just to explain a little context here around why we're doing that, we've tried to reach out to the community in the past, bring people in to try to help us to forge kind of a better world. It hasn't worked well because people are used to using what they have now, which is the PDB. So this is an unfortunate, but I think necessary step. It obviously is already painful for folks, but we do think that this is going to hopefully catalyze the community together to do something better. Just in terms of other things, this was something Grape helped with this. Like, there's a lot of gaps here. There's a lot of potential, like, things that we could create, a lot of different APIs, ways that we could create structured information, make it easier for folks to get at the inner workings of the platform so that they can do what they want to do. We have protocol documentation right now, which we've been working on refining, but it still has a ton of missing information. There's a lot of stuff that isn't there. And that is part of this, is that we hope that at least in the short term, we want to work very closely with everyone here to identify exactly where those gaps are and try to fill them. Even if it's sort of half steps and us manually pulling information together, we want to just go through that exercise and get you what you need. So that we can help you to continue to do what you do and then work towards that long-term vision of where we want to go. In terms of the goals we have, we want to create a safe and secure environment for servers and players, and really a unified ecosystem for modding of the Bedrock client. And a big part of this too is that just empowering our hobbyist creators to easily dive in. We don't want people to have to understand how to reverse engineer code from PDBs in order to be able to do modding. And the hope here is that we can attract more of our Java creators to the Bedrock platform so they can share their creations with lots of, console and mobile players, people who don't have access to Java. And as far as possible paths forward, this is still very light right now, but we are very obviously want to expand the protocol documentation, work with you. This is a stopgap solution just to help to make sure that everyone can do what they want to. Part of that is going with, trying to set up dedicated channels, which this may be the first of them, to have that very close communication, handle intake of issues, and try to resolve things as quickly as possible. In longer term, my hope, my aspiration here is that we can forge a meaningful relationship with the community to actively support the development of various kinds of community tools, essentially a middleware layer. I don't think we'll get anywhere near, what Unreal has in terms of reflection and things like that, but we can try. We can try to see how close we can get and just create a thriving community here that empowers, a lot of development in the future. So there it is. That is what I have. I'm going to stop talking. I really would much rather listen to you than listen to myself. So I we have a lot of presentations here. I don't know if anyone wants to volunteer to go first. I did not set up like kind of an order here, but speak up if you want to throw your presentation up. Let's do it.
I'll happily go first if
All
you
right,
want.
Brian, you got it.
All right. Well, look, I'm going to keep this short and simple, hopefully. I don't have any slides or any of that sort of thing. And I pretty much just want to go over a few notes that I've got on this. So, um, uh, effectively, I've pretty much made peace with the fact that the PDB is not coming back. And I think it's going to be mentioned in here a lot that, many people effectively want to get the PDB back or values within it. But I think you guys have already made that decision, and I don't see any rollback on that. So I'm not going to try and push on it. I mean, the only thing that I will say is I hope that you understand the impact of taking away the PDB. What I mean by that is um, taking taking away the PDB prevents the highest level of control. And then if you want to give us control for modding anything within the game, we need to be explicitly granted access. And the issue is with that is I just don't think that Microsoft are up to the task of doing that. And the reason that I say that is I'm somebody that has worked with the existing scripting API in the game. So I worked on the Universal Studios live event, and to be completely frank and honest with you, despite the event turning out well, it was an extremely stressful and difficult process to put that event together. And the reason for that is not many people have worked with the scripting API. It's missing a lot of core functionality and features and coverage of the code base. So, for example, if you want an event to control fishing rods and stuff like that, it just doesn't exist. And I think a large part of the reason again for that is Microsoft are creating an API here that they themselves are not using, and therefore there's no real reason for them to ensure that there's good coverage of the API across the game. So, in terms of what you can do with the API today, um, it's pretty poor and it's difficult to work with, and it's never going to get that same level of control that the PDB would have given prior. So I guess that's the first thing that I want to make clear. Like, it's again, I've made peace with the fact that the PDB is gone, but I don't think that there's ever going to be a suitable replacement for it, which is a pessimistic attitude. But I'm just trying to come across as frank and as honest as possible here with this. Um, I you know I do ultimately think though that I don't see Microsoft going down the path of adding in any new C++ frameworks or scripting APIs or any of that sort of thing. So I think that the scripting, the current JavaScript scripting system really does need to be the path for the future. And I think the truth is that that massively screws over about half the people in this call because they've put together pretty cool frameworks that allow them to mod the game and allow them to mod the servers. And most of these people will not be able to do that how they were able to do it prior. Um, but again, I'm being honest, and I don't see you guys changing your minds on that one. So again, I've made peace with it. In terms of how that scripting API could be made better, I think it needs a lot more control on the client side. So you can't run any sort of scripts on the client side right now or any of that sort of thing. It's all fully relies on Molang, which is again, I'm being frank and honest, a terrible system to work with. And none of these folks who are putting together cool projects with C++ and making advanced mods and stuff like that, they don't want to work with Molang. They want to write proper code for the client side. And I mean, this is 100% possible because we see Roblox, which I primarily work in today. You've got Lua that runs on the client, that is on every single platform under the sun, and you've got Lua that runs on the server as well. So I think what I would want to be seeing as somebody in the community and somebody who wants to see people being able to create mods for the game, I think realistically there needs to be a system where proper modification of the client is possible, proper control is granted there on the client, and then there needs to be some goals in terms of coverage on the server side, in terms of what features of the game have scripting APIs to interact with them. I don't know how those goals could be set, to be completely frank and honest with you, but it needs to be a first class feature and not just an afterthought, because that's my worry here, that whatever gets put in place is not going to be something that is actually treated as an important core part of the game. So again, to reiterate, I know I'm a little bit scatterbrained and all over the place at the moment, but for the client side, we need greater scripting control if you want people to be able to create anything close to what they're able to create today. And for the server side, same as the client side, there needs to be a far greater coverage of the code base in terms of functionality and control the players have and developers have over various different functionalities of the game. So I think that's kind of the main things. I mean, I think again, I'm pessimistic on this, but just to wrap it up, I mean, the reason that I am pessimistic on this is because I am 22 years old. I've been working in the Minecraft space since I was 12 years old. I started programming with Minecraft when I was 9. A big reason that I'm in this business today and that I am a programmer is because I started super early with Minecraft. I was able to start early because of Spigot and because of modding frameworks that were created by other people, not by Microsoft or Mojang themselves. And that is what got me interested in programming and got me to where I am in business today. If we look at Mineplex, if we look at in PvP, places that I've worked at prior, the places where I've made the products that I'm most proud of is because of fully third-party systems, because we did not have to work with the systems that Mojang weighed us down with. The Universal project is something that I'm proud of, but it did not end up how I wanted it to because of the huge number of restrictions that I was under needing to use the systems that Microsoft themselves have provided. If we look at the scripting system prior to this scripting system, it was a disaster as well. So again, it's pessimistic, but I would just like to see a situation where young folks like I was coming into the ecosystem here now today have a framework that actually gives them good coverage of both the client and the server and allows them to do the same types of things that I was able to do with Java Edition umpteen years ago now at this point. So, look, I hope I'm proven wrong. I hope that you guys can get that better coverage. I hope that the client side can get a lot more support in terms of scripting and that sort of thing. And I mean, yeah, look, it's pessimistic, but that's my perspective.
Well, thank you for that, and I appreciate the very frank and just honest description of the problem. We need to hear this, and I do agree with you. And I think just to say a couple things here. It's the PDB can still be available to some people. I think what we need is to figure out like how we can really utilize it to help develop those tools to make it easier for people to come in. And it sounds like you were very talented, and I think there are a lot of very talented people here. I think we just want to lower the bar for even more people to get involved. But I take your point. I know the tools we have are not great. And
Yeah.
yeah,
If I could for just a quick moment, just to say one other thing I wouldn't like to see is a scenario where some people get access to PDB files and some, quote unquote trusted people in the community get access to these tools. The method of modification before was that it was open to everybody. Everybody had the same level of equal access. Everybody was equally screwed and it was equally difficult for everybody. But I don't think that going down the route where some people have access and they get to pick out some symbols and stuff like that, I don't think that that's the way of the future either. So that's my
no.
last note that I wanted to add on.
Well, just to say that every option is open on the table right now. This is definitely a time when we want to just brainstorm and we want to think about anything that is possible. So thank you for that. Oyatan,
Thanks.
I think I saw you go off mute. Did you want to present next?
Yes, I want. And I want to say that there are, I think there are 3 people in my team, and ending Nahita and Vincent, and I want to after my presentation, I want these people follow me to do their, could we do?
Absolutely, absolutely. Just call them up after you're done.
Okay, I just try to show my slides. Um, share my screen and can you see that?
Yep.
Yes, we can.
Okay, and so hello everyone. I'm happy to present my pitch. And after all, and time is tight, I'll try to speak faster and I will summarize at the end. Let's talk about linkage first, or be more specific, how to link a mod's code with a game's code. First, why don't we just work with the script API? Of course, we use it when we need to quickly make some simple content or support all platforms. But a fixed API set can't meet the diverse needs of the community. And the most important issue for me is the performance. And there are just some very rough averages, but it's enough to illustrate the problem. And it is unrealistic to open some C++ APIs in the short term. What we hope most is to be compatible with the existing method. No one wants their current work to be destroyed immediately. So how do we do modding? I'm using Endstone as an example because Live-Laminus mapping files are compressed binary, not human readable. Usually, we dump the data in the PDB at runtime or statically. Specifically, the mapping from symbols to RVAs, where RVA are relative virtual address. It's the integer in the integer on the left side, like this. With the array, we can locate the beginning of the function or a variable so that we can invoke or modify it. Is it possible for us to continue in locating the function without publishing the original debug symbols? It is possible. It only requires a kind of obfuscation. Hashing the symbol will solve this. Assuming that all input strings are equally likely, it's infeasible to find an input string that matches a given hash value. So at least we need to publishing a mapping of hashes to arrays instead of publishing the symbols directly is, in my opinion, the best alternative. So CryptoKitties can use the hash to reverse what the symbol is, but we can still log the location of the function through the hash, which means we can still use it to export content and make mods. Then let's talk about shaders. Custom shaders have always been an important part of the creator's creation. We know that Render Dragon replaced the old rendering engine, but what did we lose in this process? Let's see what we have so far. Bedrock does offer a lot of settings that can change things like tone mapping, light colors, focus, and almost every shader in Java Edition has a similar settings. But is that enough? Obviously not. Let's see what we can do before Render Dragon. You can see that this shader adds a nice reflection on the water and adds sunlight shadings to the clouds. And here's another shader. As you can see, it has a minimap. Yes, minimap, really. It can display the trunk borders. Also display redstone power levels. Both these examples used to be completely linear. Yes, used to be. This is came from Java Edition. This shader adds a Saturn and a black hole to the end to create an extreme visual effect. I think these are enough to show that we need to customize the shader instead of simply changing the sun color or fogs for creation. So what's the situation now? In the old rendering engine, the shader files will first try to load from the resource packs, otherwise use the built-in one in the game. But now the Render Dragon will not try to load the current shader files from the resource packs. So they just use the built-in one. That is the material.inf file. These community tools are great, but it shouldn't be an external feature at all. And those tools are relies on debug symbols to some extent. So obviously, we should read these files from the resource packs again. And it's very easy to add this feature. For these two parts, I'm not having much time, so let me give you a simple example. There are two hoppers in the picture. The item at the border, you can see here, it will not be picked up. I even wrote a detailed solution for this and explained why it happened, but it still hasn't been fixed after several years. By the hundreds of, well, I just say that the motivation for me to develop a model loader was that I had to make my own plugins to fix bugs and optimize performance. Almost all of the technical survival servers I'm familiar with use my plugins. So these are my summaries. For compatibility with existing mods, we need to get the mapping at least in the next release, the hashes to RVH mapping. And we can provide tools to generate it. And also, and maybe as we can provide some structural layout, maybe hashed. And the best is we can discuss to how to set some rules to filter some safety symbols as a list to provide it to the public. And loading the material.bin files is also very easy to implement. It only takes about 10 minutes to coding. We need, and then we need more content on techniques, survival, redstone, and for deep modification. Maybe we can assign some in the. Also, it would be best if there are some channels to communicate with engineers to fix bugs faster, or just hire someone who really understands this. So thanks for listening. If you have any question about what I mentioned, please contact me after the meeting.
Thank you for that. That was great. And just to say, I think you brought up one of the points of why we really need to do this. Making this decision was a forcing functional for the community, for you to put together presentations like this. And I'm already seeing we're getting about 10 times the amount of information we had in the past. But it's also a forcing function for us to really appreciate just the PDB has allowed us to not fully invest in the community up until this point. And you can see that through, we haven't addressed a lot of the bugs that are there. And I'm hoping that this will get us closer to that, where we really take an active stance in working with you and supporting you. So if you want to suggest who goes next, if you have other people on your team, please go ahead.
Okay, may I speak now?
Hello.
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 Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Um, well, my teammates say that my voice is very low. Uh, is my voice really very low?
Is it? No, we can hear you.
Okay, okay, thank you very much. And okay, since the time is limited, so I will just give the introduction of our project, and I'd love to share
how does the current version of Laminar work as a supplementary material of OUNTI's presentation. And now the current version of Laminar harness the information from the PDB. We use a tool called Bedrock Analyzer to extract the data structures API list and the API to binary address mapping from the PDB files. Then we develop a header generator to generate the CPP headers and the .lib files for the compiler to preprocess and assembly and compile the modding code to the modding executable. And we also developed a simple provider to map the APIs to the actual RVA, I mean the virtual address in the executable file to make the virtual symbols to let the dynamic linker to do the delay load dynamic linking during the runtime. And then the modding code will work and it can modify the content in the game. Okay, so from the procedure just presented, and we can summarize what we actually need. And we just need three things, and that's the data structure, API list, and API to binary address mapping. So from all these bases, our proposal, we have two proposals. One is the best choice, and another is the minimum one. The best choice proposal is that Moyang can utilize our tool chains to generate essential information with the automated tool chain provided by us, and Moyang or us can just publish this essential information along with our releases, and this can avoid the recoverability of the PDB, and then bad guys will not have access to the debugging symbol anymore. And if this is not acceptable, our minimum requirement is that we may publish a review list of the native APIs and the data structures. And also, as the OUN has gone into details, we may publish the hash symbol to RVA mapping. And these are all of our proposals. If you have any questions, please ask me then. Thank you.
Fabulous. Very good. Yes, I think this is what we're hoping for, is if we can actively support the community to create those middleware tools, and figure out what we need. And this is a question I'll have later if we have time, is just what percentage of the community actually needs the PDB versus the tool creators who are creating the stuff that people are actually using. But we will get there. I am curious, does anyone want to volunteer to go next?
Hi, can I speak?
Yes.
Yes, so I'm not actually working on the Levy Lamina, but I'm kind of in a collaboration with them, so I would like to give a short presentation.
Sure.
Just going to share my screen. Can someone check if they can see my screen?
It's loading. There it is. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So hi everyone, I'm Vincent. So I'm a PhD student at Imperial College London. I'm also the founder of NewKit. Today I'm going to propose a solution in light of the recent removal of the symbols called Einstein. So if you consider Levy Lamina as the fabric for the Java edition, then Einstein can be the spigot API for the Bedrock. So I'm going to show you how Einstein actually going to work. So let's say we have these three components, and we all know that there are two stages, like the development stage and the production stage. So in the past, we have both. We have symbols for the both stage, but now we don't have the symbols for the production stage. Einstein can actually be a good solution here because we provide a plugin API that works even without symbols and provides models with extra functionality and vanilla data. So you can think Einstein as a middleware, as an isolation layer to allow models to interact with the Bedrock server without having the deep knowledge of the BDS actual code base. To achieve this, we do the hard part by digging into the BDS internals, but we won't be exposing the BDS internals directly in production. Instead, we expose a carefully designed interface. And I think, Donald, you have mentioned that of creating a middleware, just like Spigot API or something. And I believe that we are actually the project in the community that is probably the closest to that goal. And we are also speeding up the development speed now. So now as the solution we proposed, Endstone relies on only 50 symbols for their hooking system, significantly reducing the exposure of the BDS codebase. And secondly, there is actually no need for symbol files to be presented at the runtime. And our high-level API prevents the need to access BDS internals, addressing the security concern we are having this meeting for. And finally, by handling all the heavy lifting under the hood, Endstone actually allows developers to focus entirely on creating some new and engaging gameplay instead of doing the reverse engineering. And Endstone actually aims to be a supplement rather than a replacement to the official scripting API. It offers more possibilities by supporting both Python and C++. And now C++ can be a game changer for those who really care about performance, because for now we have the scripting API run on QuickJS, which is a bit slower than C++. This also allows developers to use their third-party packages, just like they do with the Java edition. And moreover, as the plugin API maintained by the community itself, Endstone will be able to listen to community's needs and respond to them in a timely manner. And lastly, and most importantly, Endstone is designed to be very similar to the Spigot API. And this will help the porting of server plugins from the Java community to Bedrock a lot easier, and also help to attract more talents from the Java community, because I believe that the Bedrock is the future of Minecraft, and that's why we are having the meeting here to, we can do things better. And here are just two examples where Endstone API can be really useful as a supplement to the scripting API. So on the left, you can see the players is allowed to fly in the survival mode. This feature has actually been around in most third-party server software for decades, but it is not in the scripting API just yet. And on the right, you will see the dynamic message of the day. The time of the message is changing, and thanks to our network API. This feature can be really important for servers who would like to attract more players to click on them in the server list. And the goal of Endstone is actually to support these features that are not strictly within the scope of scripting API, but are still highly demanded by the community itself. We are also built with community in mind. That means we ship with a built-in DB tools designed to support both existing and new community projects. It provides a friendly user interface for them to access the necessary data for their project to keep rolling from BDS without the symbols. And this approach not only simplifies the process, but also further enhance security. And some of the data is already being used by a few renowned projects. And yeah, thank you very much for your time. If you want to learn more about Endstone, here's the link to our homepage. You're also welcome to reach out to me via email. I'm excited to see what we can actually build together for the future of Minecraft. Thank you. There are a few appendix I'm not going to cover them, but if some of you want to look at them after the meeting, please do so in your spare time. And thank you very much.
Fabulous. Yeah, and all the presentations I believe are in the Prezos channel here. If they aren't, please share them there. And we'll definitely have folks internally looking at stuff in more detail. But I love that. I think this is getting at some of what we want, which is just we maybe can't eliminate the need for the symbol tables, but we can reduce the space here and expose what it is that is really necessary to power maybe 80-90% of development and also build that closer relationship. I think this is the thing. If we can have sort of official mods, a toolkit and you have much more direct access than you've had previously with our teams. So yes, I love it. Anyone else want to go next?
I can yeah.
Jump
I
in.
can, okay, I can go. Well, Kawhi, I'll share. Where am
Okay,
All right.
I have you.
Can you see my window, my slides?
Yes.
Okay. So my background, I said before, is I'm an associate professor at Arizona State University. I'm not much of a modder here. I'm more of a researcher. I research sort of the Bedrock code base, try to understand the internal mechanics. And so what I'm going to propose is something that kind of would help me continue doing my work and people like me, not specifically, API. I'm letting all the other people sort of handle that. And my proposal is something I think that's been touched on before is we need intermediates between the technical community and modding community and the developers at Mojang. Because the reason why a lot of mods exist is to fix bugs that are not prioritized by Mojang. And we have a lot of knowledge about where those are. Like, I'm pretty sure this group here could give us a week with the code, would be able to give you like 2-3 dozen patches for the game. And so the reason this advantage for the community would be it allows information to bubble up from these sort of intermediates to the developers that without having to use embarrassing Twitter campaigns. But this also, the developers who are working with these intermediates would also need to be empowered to make these changes. It's not something that like, oh, we'll put them in the bug log and we'll get to it when it's prioritized. Like, you need to actually have people who are like empowered to make these changes so that, the mods that people are writing are then basically integrated into the code base. And this is also part of it is also data driven. What things should we give? How do we give flexibility to certain aspects of the game without, opening up a full like API? The next sort of step above that would be potentially bringing in consultants, people who would actually be able to look at the code, not just like have PDB access, but maybe actually full code access. And the advantage here is that, we could write the patches and send them to you. And understand, NDAs are a sensitive topic, especially code access. But for a person like me who works at a university, I work at a big institution that already collaborates with Microsoft in various different ways. And so I kind of see myself and maybe some people in similar positions to me could get through that hoop to be trusted. And also a lot of things I would like to do is I would actually like to do some research on the Bedrock code base that's, Mojang doesn't need to spend its developers, trying to see if, can we replace certain really deep down internal APIs and get better performance? Like, you're busy doing, stuff that like people see, not these kind of back end stuff. But someone like me who's a researcher, I can do stuff like that. And things like there's unit tests that we know from the community that we can say, you need this unit test. We can see things, oh, you've made this change. That's going to break these farms. Are you aware of that? Or there's even subtle things that need a review, like the spawning mechanics, the spawning rules. There are all sorts of bugs in the spawning rule JSONs that have existed for years that it would be nice to get those just finally fixed. And a part of it, what I like to do is I like to document the closed source mechanics. Some other people do this as well. And, having someone like from the technical community doing that documentation is going to produce more, in our experience, produces more accurate documentation than having a overworked developer at Mojang trying to produce the documentation. And sort of another way to do it, as I think has already been mentioned, is kind of support reverse engineering. So like if you don't want to bring on consultants, do other thing, and give access to the code, you could potentially give select people access to the PDBs, as you said, so they can continue doing like reverse engineering of mechanics and stuff. And so that, of course, would be no need to like add symbols back into release builds, share source code level information. But of course, for this to be productive, you still need to build tight connections between these player experts from the community and teams of developers to sort of promote information exchange.
This is great. And I mentioned I used to be in research. I'd love to see us do some research initiatives. I'd love to see us bring in some interns. I think it's great, the idea to have a way to have the community actually provide patches that we can actually go and have engineers check and implement and just have a little bit of our resources dedicated to fixing bugs that have been around for far, far, far too long.
Yeah, like like this group here, we have a lot of knowledge that we can get a lot of stuff written within a month.
Exactly. So. Yeah, this is the goal. This is a dream, is to leverage all the passion and the knowledge in this community and finally do something with it. We are short on time. I'm sorry. I knew this was going to run long, but anyone else want to present something here? Share some thoughts.
Well, I didn't prepare any slides like Brian, but I've also taken peace that the PDBs won't come back. I agree with Brian as well that the PDBs shouldn't be behind an NDA. It'll be difficult for new people to get access to it, which will kind of create a stalemate, which is not a preferable situation.
Agreed.
For the servers, the things we currently do with the PDBs is generate vanilla data, things like block states, item states, like all kinds of maps that we currently can't get out of the client. This stuff that would be nice if it could be dropped, exported by BDS, something like they have in the Java world, where you can just add an argument and then it just drops these files. It would also be meaningful if we had better errors. So the microcloud does crash still, but it doesn't really give much information why it crashed. Things like that would be very helpful to, let's say, the protocol information has some hiccups, something's wrong with it. We can know what's wrong with it and report it rather than just having the client crash on us. Then it would the things the reason Mojang probably removed the PDPs is because it'll keep the cheaters out of the game, which makes sense. But there is still a lot of things in the protocol that allow people to send, for example, huge amount of arrays. For example, the transaction packets, there are no maximum values on these arrays. People can just send a whole bunch of stuff to the servers, and there is no way to know if it's valid or not because Mojang themselves don't put maximum values on it. It would have also been nice to know maximum values on things, just for DDoS protection and stuff like that. And the last thing is that there is still a lot of not a lot of documentation in the movement data. We want to implement a server authoritative movement in the server, but there is no documentation, and without the PDBs, we will also lack the amount of insight we go into BDS. So it would have been nice if that was also patched somehow, that we will get this information. And that's about it for me.
That's very useful. And I know, oh gosh, Kawhi Nahida, I see you have your presentation up, but I'm thinking because we have several more that need to be done, and we have very little time. What I'd like to suggest right now, and I expected this would happen, I'd love us to have another call and not waste time with intros and stuff, and just get right into it, and then have a good discussion afterwards. So my current proposal is that we do this same time next week. Apologies for people that it's very late for, but I think it sort of works. We can follow up on the in the in the in the general channel and just see if that works for folks. That's what I'm going to do right now. That is, and yes, let's go thank you everybody, honestly, for just the time and effort and the thought and your willingness to spend an hour with us and probably several more hours in the future. But I'm already excited by the possibilities here. So I will do that. I will send out another. I'll just put a placeholder for next week for us to continue this conversation, and I will see you then. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for having the meeting, by the way.
Thank you.
It's a start.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you for your
bye.
patience. This is
Thank you
very
very
helpful.
much.
Take care.